This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution, who is trying to pronounce an Italian name with great difficulty. I'm here with Alberto Cordero di Montezemolo from Monfalletto in Piedmont, Italy. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine, thank you very much.
Now, your family have a great history when it comes to making wine in Piemonte. I believe it goes back to 1340.
Yes, exactly. My family is actually a family originally from Piemonte, and one of the oldest family in the area, and own this particular property that you said, Monfalletto, since the 1340. So it's basically a very old estate that my family owned since the beginning, and for 19 generations with me, through all these centuries, undivided arrival to me.
19 generations, that's a long time to be making wine. So you better know what you're doing after all that time.
Yes, we start to know how to move.
Now, you make a number of different wines. You make Barolo, obviously. You also grow Barbera. You have Nebbiolo under the Langhe label. You have Arnese.
We have, of course, different kind of wines, but we always produce wines with typical varieties and indigenous variety of the area, such as the three most important reds, the Dolcetto, Nebbiolo, and Barbera. And also for the whites, the Langhe Arnese, which is our local white indigenous variety, with the only exception of Chardonnay, which is a very tiny production in our selection.
Now, the majority of your production is Nebbiolo. What percentage of your production is Nebbiolo?
Nebbiolo is almost 40% approximately, yeah. So still be the strongest part. And consider that it generally is approximately 80% still be for the reds, and just 20%, 22% is for the whites.
If I were to ask you to describe the house style of Monfalletto, how would you go about doing that?
What do you mean for...
The house style, as in if you were to tell me what makes the house of Monfalletto different from all of those other Barolo producers.
But you know, I believe that every Barolo is not all new tradition and modern. You have Barolo that are very representative of their terroirs, of the origin of and location of the vineyards, and Barolo that are not representative. So you have obviously everything on the market. I have to say that 80% of the Barolo, I believe, are extremely well made from my colleagues, and everybody is in the last few years making a great job in terms of expression of terroir. What I could say about my terroir, my hill, the Monfalletto hill, is that because it's one of the parcels in the area of Barolo where there is a high percent of sand, a lot of magnesium, and definitely less calcaire compared to many other parts, we were always able to make wines, and specifically Barolo, that are extremely accessible and extremely feminine and delicate, even if they are wines very rich and full body with, you know, more than 15 alcohol, a lot of tannins, layers and layers of complexity. So this is a characteristic of Barolo, something enjoyable immediately.
Now, Barolo, I always think of as being a wine that's immediately connected with food. It's a wine that I've never really enjoyed just by itself.
Yes, you're right. This is also something that confuses a little bit the people. You know, sometimes people say, or in the past mainly, Barolo is that great wine that you have to drink after 15, 20, 25 years, you know, like a meditation, you know, wine without nothing, with a cigar, something like that. Is absolutely wrong. Barolo is a food wine, something that pairs extremely well with food, and specifically with something that has a very tasty notes and taste, specifically something fat, because obviously with all these tannins and this lovely acidity helps you to clean your mouth and improve the characteristic of the dish and the wine as well.
Traditionally, in your hometown, what would you normally have? What kind of dishes would you have with your own Barolo?
But with Barolo we can drink many things. The most classic pairing is typically the game, like the deers or white pork, or some beef, or roasted beef.
Yes, yeah.
Very similar. Obviously, mushrooms like risotto mushrooms, or our handmade pasta with eggs like ravioli and tagliolini. With obviously, we are in Alba, so white truffles from Alba.
Wonderful, yeah.
And I had also recently some experiences with fish, which is something that really surprised me. But believe me, is a really good pairing. If you have obviously some delicate and very well mixed fish.
One more question for you. You also make a rather interesting wine called Chinato. Would you mind explaining a little bit about that? Because that's quite a bit of an anomaly, and perhaps even people who are used to drinking Barolo will not be familiar with that particular style of wine.
Yes, Barolo Chinato is a very tiny production for us, and a very unusual wine for the normal consumer. In the area, few producers, and each producer produce few bottles of this particular wine, and it's basically based on Barolo. And in our case, are old bottles of Barolo that every year we put aside and we open when they are 15, 20, 18, 25 years old. So many different vintages. We open many bottles, we put everything in a tank. We had just a little bit of the new fresh Barolo, and then we had a little bit of sugar, alcohol, and most important are different kind of herbs and spices. Specifically the quinine is the most important one. So basically this infusion goes on for approximately 3 weeks, a month. Then wine is filtered and bottled. So it becomes like a digestive wine based on Barolo, so that you can recognize that the flowers and the complexity is the one that Barolo has, but plus you have also some other elements that improve the bouquet and the pleasure of the wine.
Is this a very old method of wine production, or something that's a little bit more recent?
No, it's actually very old because basically Barolo Chinato was born in a period where we had the prohibitionism, and because the wine wasn't allowed to be in the market, we in the past, in the era, producer create this strategy to sell wine. So add something, some sugar, some alcohol, some herbs. They used to sell this wine like medicine. And so through pharmacies everything was allowed, and so no problem.
That's a smart way to get around it. Alberto, thank you very much for joining us at Good Food Revolution today. Really have enjoyed tasting through your Barolo and your Arnese and your Chinato.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you in Toronto sometime very soon.
Of course, why not?